So today we will talk about static keyword. So C# class, we can define the static members using the static keyword. So when we do so, the members in the question must be invoked directly with the class level. So if I say console.writeLine, if I say console.writeLine, so if you see, this console is a class. You see class system.console means system is a namespace and console is a class. And writeLine is a method. But so far in our lectures, what we have seen that we are creating the object, and with the object dot we are using the method name or the property or field name. But here this writeLine method is directly calling with the class name. The reason is the writeLine method is static and it is called with the class level, not instance or object level. Okay, so it is called on the class level, means you need not to create the object of that class. You can directly use with the class name dot the static method name. So if it is not a static method, then you can call with the object. But if I do something like that, console is a class, so I will create an object of console class equals to new console class. And if I say C dot, so you can see writeLine is not available. So if it is a normal method or a normal concrete method, then we can call with the object. But here, okay, so even this class is also a static class that we will discuss in little short. We cannot create the object of the static class. So that is why we are using console.writeLine. So let me show with the custom method. So say an example. I have a class say my class, and in this my class I have a method. Public void say normal method. Normal, or you can say instance method. And here I'm just writing console.writeLine. This is instance method. Let me have one more method here. I'll say public static void. I'll say static method. And what I'm doing here, I'm just writing this is the static method. So if I go over here, Let me remove all this. And I'm going to create the object of my class. My class says my class as an object equals to new my class. Now my class is the object. If I put dot, you can see instance method, but you cannot see the static method. So if I want to call instance method, I will just put the class object name dot method name. But if I want to call static method, then what I will do, I will say my class dot static method. So the difference, we have seen that in a normal method we need to call with the object name, and with the static method we need to call with the class level. So let me run it. So you can see it gives the output as expected. So this is the purpose of static method. Oh, so static is not limited to the methods only. So we can have a field also, or the data member of the class as a static level. Say an example, I have uh, public static int my value, and this my value is a static field. So static field data is something, which is commonly used by all the objects. Okay, so what I'm doing here, that the static method, and I'm setting the value of my value equals to 20. Okay, so here by default it has value 0. Now what I'm going to do here, that my class instance method, and here I want to, again, this is a static field. Static field. If it is static field, it is only used with the class level, not with the instance level. So it is used with the class level, then we need to print the console.writeLine my class dot my value. Now I'm invoking my class dot static method, and again I want to print the value. Okay, so let me run it. So here in the starting, when I used instance method, my class value dot my value is equal to 0 because I initialized with the 0. Then I called my static method where I am setting the value of my value equals to 20. So after that it reached to 20. So console.writeLine my class dot my value, it prints 20. Okay. So the other advantage is that let me have a, instead of instance method, let me call it set value method. And in set value method, I'm just passing int number. And here I have taken this my value and I'm setting up this value, my value equals to, so let me call it int number one. Okay, I'm setting up this value. Now, I have one more method, public static, or not static, normal method, public void calculation something, where I'm saying console.writeLine sum equals to 0, and I'm saying my value plus my value. So I'm just adding 2 times. Now here, let me remove this as well. This is my class and I'm saying my class because this method is not a static method. So we need to call with the class level, not class level, object level. Dot calculation dot set value, sorry, dot set value, and I'm passing a value 30. Okay. Now I just want to call my calculator method. So it should print 60 here. My class dot calculator. So let us see the output. So as expected, my value I'm passing 30. So in the calculation I'm saying my value plus my value, it is printing 60. Now let me create one more object of the class. Say my class 1 equals to new my class. And here I'm directly calling my class 1 dot calculation. Now let us see the output. So here you can see it is again printing 60, whereas it is supposed to have 0 value because I have created the new object. The reason is this static variable my value is commonly shared by all the object of the class. So there are 2 objects I have created, class 1. So see here, if I call my calculation method, before that it should be 0, then it is 60 and then 60. So first it is 0. The reason is that as soon as I create the object of a class, then it is giving the value, it is initializing the value with the 0. And if I say, for example, I have a normal variable public int say instance variable, all that is I'm also setting with this, and here I'm assigning the same value. Instance variable equals to number 1, and here I will say static value sum equals to this. Let me copy this, and I say instance variable value sum equals to instance variable plus instance variable. Now let us see what will be the result. So this is my class object. I am calling mycal. It should be 0 in the first case because both are 0 in the starting. Then I set a value. It is 30. This is 30. So when I call method, calculation method, it should be 60 and it should be 60 as well. Now in second case, I am creating the object of the class. When I say calculation method again, it should, as we have seen, it is 60. Let us see this value. What is the instance variable value? So see, first my class dot calculation, because both are 0, so it will print 0. Then I set the value 30. So my value equals to 30, instance variable equals to 30. Then I call the calculate method. In calculate method, it is printing 60 and 60. Static variable is 60 and the instance variable is 60. Now I have created one more class of the object. So as soon as I create the object, my value does not change because it is static. Static variables are commonly shared by all the objects, but this is not, the instance variable is not a static, so it is again initialized with the 0. So that is why the static value is equals to 60 and the instance variable value equals to 0. So that is the main difference between the static level variables and the instance level variable. So next topic is, which is again with the static only, and we will discuss the static constructor. So say an example, I have a public static int my value. Now I have a constructor. So this constructor is setting up the, I'm sorry, I should not put this bracket. So here what I'm doing, my value equals to say 20. Okay. Now I have one set value variable method, public void set value. Where I'm passing int number, and here I'm saying my value equals to number, and I want to print this number. So here I would say public void display, and I want to print this value. Okay, so here in the main method, so you have seen main is also static method, right? So that is again the reason, because this class program here in this case is having only one main method, and which is a entry point for the application, and it should be static all the time. So now what I'm doing, I'm creating the object of class, my class, my class equals to new my class. So as soon as I create the object with the new keyword, what will happen? Constructor get called. And now I'm saying my class dot set value 30. So it will set up the value of the my value variable equals to 30. Now I'm saying my class dot display. So it will print 30. Now I am going to create one more object of the class. Say my class 1 equals to new my class. Okay. Now I want to print my class 1 dot display. Okay, so let us see the difference with the previous example and this example. So now you are surprised to see that why my value, which is a static variable, is reset to 20. So see what happened when I create the object of a class, constructor call immediately. So there I am setting the value of my value equals to 20. Okay, then I called set value, which changed the value of this variable by 30. And when I displayed it, displayed 30. But when I have created another object of the class, then constructor is called. When the constructor is called, it resets the value of this variable by 20 again. That is why if you are printing my class 1 dot display, it prints not 30 but the 20, because it is reset. And if you want, so this is basically a note what we want. We want, if I want to set up the value of a variable only one time, irrespective of creating multiple objects of the class. So for that, what I need to do, I need to have that class with a static constructor. So static constructor, you need to just put a static word here. So when you call a static, so this is static constructor because it has the same name as the class name. So static constructor. So now I have created a static constructor. So let us see now the difference. So if you see now it is the 30 and 30. Earlier it was giving 30 and 20. The reason how it is changed because of I changed normal constructor to static constructor. So static constructor is called once only. Okay, static constructor is called once only. So let me have this display method here and run it. Now you can see this display method is called when it is called because at this time the static constructor is not called. At this time static constructor is not called. So when the static constructor is called, so static constructor is called as soon as we use the static variable or method. So here display method I have called. So when I create the object of the class, my class, then constructor, my my constructor is called. So my constructor is what? Static constructor here, right? So my constructor is called and in my constructor the value of my value is 20. So here I am setting up I am accessing the value of static variable. So it sets the value, the constructor is called and sets the value of 20. So display, the constructor is called 20. Now I call the set value. Set value sets the value of my value equals to 30. And display method displays the value equals to 30. Now second case, as soon as I call the my class one, at this time no static constructor is called. So it means this code is not executed at this time because static constructor is called only once and there is no overloaded static constructor. If you remember in the constructor class, we have seen that there is a constructor overloading where we can define multiple constructors definitions on the basis of the basis of the parameter. So but here static constructor will be only one single static constructor and it cannot take the parameter. So you cannot pass the value into the static constructor. So it cannot take the parameter. And no need to mention the access modifier. Like if you remember, I was putting public here. But in the case of static, no need to put that any access modifier. And static constructor executes only one time. So it is totally regardless of how many objects types is created. The runtime invokes the static constructor when it creates an instance of the class or before accessing the static member of the class. So what it means, for example, I have one static method and let me write one statement here, console.writeLine, and I'm printing static constructor is called. Okay, so if I run it, so you can see as soon as I create the object of the class, it is static constructor is called. Right after that, the display or set values is happening. Now let me have one more method which is called public static void and call it static method. And here I'm just writing this is the static method call. Okay, so for static methods we need not to have the object to create. So I'm saying here my class dot static method. Okay, and now I'm saying console dot write line creating instance of the class. So let us see the output now. Now you will be little surprised to see that static constructor is called, then it is saying it is calling this static method and then creating the instance and then the rest of the things. The reason is that there is other way to call the static constructor. First thing, as soon as you create the object of the class, then the static constructor, if it is defined, it is called. But if you are calling any static method or variable or property, then first the static constructor is called. So in this case, same thing happened. My class dot static method, as soon as I called, so it see that it says static method call first, and it is first time. Then it calls the static constructor. It sets the value equals to 20 and it writes that static constructor is called. Then I write creating and then my class, and because static constructor is called only once, so this time the static constructor did not call and rest of the output is same. Okay, so next is the static classes. So it is also possible to apply the static keyword directly on the class level. When a class has been defined as static, it is not creatable using the new keyword. So means you cannot create the instance of that static class. You cannot create the object of the static class. And it can contain only the members or fields which is marked as static. If this is not the case, you receive the compile error. So let me make this class as static. So when you mark this class as static C, it is starting complaining. Cannot declare the static type my class, because with the my class you cannot have the static, you cannot create the objects. So let me remove this code. Okay, now let me see, can I use my class dot set value? No, I cannot use, because this set value is not a static member. So let me see here. Set value cannot be declared instance members in the static class. So static class will have all static variables and static methods. So I just put static in front of my methods. Okay, and let's build it. So build is succeeded. Now if I say, now everything with the class level, there is, you cannot create the object of the static classes. So what I'm going to do here, my class dot, now you can see static value variables, set value. I want to set say 30, and my class dot display. So everything with the class level. So let me run it. So you can see here static constructor is called, and then creating instance, that is not required now. So everything you are calling with the help of static class, the static class and the static methods, means you cannot create the object of this.